Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Minnsang, and I'm CSO of WaterSage in South Korea. First of all, I apologize for my clothes because a few days ago I was a car accident. So, frequently speaking, it's a hard time for me to come here Abu Dhabi from South Korea. But I thought that I would be the proof that why autonomous vehicle needed because of car accident. So I came here. And I was in Hyundai Motor Company in over 10 years, and I participated in number one autonomous vehicle company in Korea. So I will talk with an industrial perspective. Thank you.
Yeah, actually, I'm George Zakhem. Sorry, my boss was not able to make it. He has Mr. Khalid Shmaili, our CEO. He has an urgent meeting, so he's not able to come here as per the agenda. So I have replaced him. You will hear about our story as MS Driving and how we have established MS Mobility. And we'll give you a nice experience, real experience on how or the journey of adopting autonomous vehicle in Abu Dhabi and what was good, what was challenging. Now I believe we have the panel. They are here. We were agile.
It's okay.
We were doing one-to-one, you know.
That's perfect.
Welcome back.
All right. Well, we apologize for joining the stage a bit late. Frederic and William and myself, we were chatting backstage and got carried away. But as Minnsang and George were already introducing themselves, let me hand the mic over to Frederic really quickly to introduce yourself and the work you've been doing at ITU, and then William, you can chime in a bit to introduce yourself after Frederic.
Yeah, thanks, Joseph. Yes, good morning or good afternoon, everyone. My name is Fred Werner from the ITU. And for those of you that don't know the ITU, we're the United Nations Specialized Agency for Information and Communication Technologies. And we basically do three things. We allocate and harmonize radio spectrum and satellite orbits. We develop international standards that underpin modern telecommunication networks, including standards for intelligent transport systems. And we also develop smart city KPIs that have been adopted by over 100 cities around the world. And we also assist the developing countries in bringing up their ICT infrastructure through development work, capacity building, and trainings. And last but not least, we organize the United Nations AI for Good Global Summit. And the goal of AI for Good is to identify practical applications of AI to advance the Sustainable Development Goals. Thank you.
Hello, I'm William Guo, came from Shenzhen Smart City Group. And our Shenzhen is a young city, is established only 44 years, and its GDP increased from 35 million to 3.9 trillion. It's increased more than 10,000 times. And together with the rapid advancement of the Shenzhen Smart City, our company, Shenzhen Smart City Group, was set up by the company. We offer the smart city service and the solution for helping the government for all the smart city operation and construction.
Okay. Thanks, William. And lastly, my name is Joseph Constanty. I'm the Director of Global Strategy for Niu. We're a NASDAQ-listed two-wheel electric company from China, and we are present in about 55 or so countries. And I've had the pleasure over the past 8 years helping the company build up our presence in Europe, Africa, the United States, South America, and throughout Asia. So I'm going to start off the questions here this afternoon with William, because William joined us from the furthest location from China, and also my home for the past 20-some years before moving to the UAE. So let me kick it off with this question, William. Being from Shenzhen, a city that's been growing at explosive levels over the past 3-4 decades, what are the key experiences in the construction of smart cities and digital governments that you have been a part of, and what have you been seeing that you could add some value to the audience here today?
Thanks for those good question. I think the key insight about the smart city construction and operation in the past several years is the three key insight and the key experience. One is the top-level planning. It's the most important. We need to do a lot of research and we work together with the Shenzhen government to issue the 3-year smart city construction plan. And even each year we need to fine-tune it. This is the first one. The second one, we need a city-level information modeling system. We call SIM. This platform we need to develop and to connect and to combine all the digital information city level by. At this moment, the SIM platform, now the data is more than 2 PG together now. And we hope more than 600,000 building together, and I think it's 13 million house unit. And also we have the information about all the high building. The high building, the information totally now we have 500 bin. The 500 bin together, and even some of the big buildings have the maybe 600 component. So it's a very, very big amount information. Based on this platform, we can develop a lot of use cases, just like smart transportation, smart housing, even the education, the health, and all together. This is the second one. We need a city-level platform. The last one is we call restructuring. Maybe we can call retooling. The important, we need to provide a service to the citizen. Let them use the unified website. They can do everything through one app for the government service. But how to make it happen? We need to fine-tune and restructuring the process, the government. So later I will give some example about the detail about how to fine-tune the process and how to we need to work with the government to formulate the new regulation and legislation. Yeah, okay.
Thanks, William. Clearly, Shenzhen is far out ahead of many cities around the world in kind of pushing at this level. Let me change the conversation a little bit, turn the microphone over to George here. Recently, Emirates Driving Company set up Emirates Mobility Company. What was the reasoning behind that? Was that because you were seeing a need for personnel change within the organization, a new type of mindset within the organization to push forward new concepts of mobility, or was there some other factors that were driving the creation of this new company?
Thank you for this question. I believe you touched on a very important point. Smart cities will move on phases from a level to another level. And we can see now mega apps, we can see many things happening. This is what happened with MS driving. We were one of the 5 pillars of road safety, and Emirates and the UAE was working on all the elements, which is the engineering, the enforcement, wherever, and they bring us with innovation, with top-notch at that time in 2004, and we have done a great job together all, and under the umbrella of the road safety strategy. The UAE was able to go in Abu Dhabi from 24 deaths per 100,000 population to now about between 3 and 4 now. So this model, we apply it also on a mobility sector. That's why, due to our stakeholders' relation and engagement, due to our role in applying UAE strategy and Abu Dhabi strategies, Emirates Driving management, His Excellency the CEO and the board has take a decision to make Emirates Mobility. And Emirates Mobility has come as a part of an ecosystem that His Excellency have mentioned during his opening note. This ecosystem of 360 degree, where we're looking into the all elements required for investments as per the Emirates strategy, Emirates mobility strategy, and the other strategy available in the Emirates. And this is how Emirates Mobility now is available, with just having the last touch on the website and the branding, and it will be launched soon.
All right, thank you. That clears things up a little bit for me. And again, I'm going to change it to kind of change the questions again for Frederic here. So we've heard a bit about Shenzhen. We've heard a little bit about what Dubai driving or Emirates driving is doing here in the UAE. So what are you doing at the intersection of AI and what the UN is doing for its SDG goals for autonomous vehicles and smart cities? And really, why is that work important at this moment in time, especially if we hear what Shenzhen is doing, what the UAE is trying to do, and globally?
Yeah, thanks, Joseph. So AI for Good was built on the premise that we now have less than 10 years to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals, and AI holds great promise to advance many of those goals and targets. So from healthcare to affordable education for all, climate change, but also smart mobility, autonomous driving, smart cities. I think the use cases are undoubtedly there. And if you're looking at the SDGs, you have SDG 3.6, which basically aims to reduce the 1.3 million road deaths on the road and the 25 million injuries that occur from road accidents, and a lot of these occurring in developing countries. And also a lot of these accidents, they basically involve young people aged from like 5 to 25. So you have more deaths there than HIV and tuberculosis combined. So that's a real issue. And you also have SDG 11.2, which basically aims to ensure that smart mobility and transport systems are safe, they're affordable, they're inclusive for all. So then you have great potential to advance these goals and targets using AI, but you also have to be mindful of the unintended consequences of AI. So of course, top of mind is job loss due to automation. Are all these new systems gonna, are we gonna lose our jobs? But also, we have to think about if you have these systems and machines that are making decisions for us or on behalf of us, are these systems, are they ethical by design? Do they respect privacy? Are the data sets that they're built on inclusive and free of bias, or as free of bias as possible, at least being mindful of bias? Also, are they sustainable? Do they respect human rights? And basically, one of the goals of the UN is to bridge the digital divide. So are these solutions and systems going to help to bridge the digital divide or further deepen the digital divide? Now, these are not things that occur naturally to the fast-moving technology industry. I think the idea, or so far, has been build it and we'll fix it later. But these are things that we think deeply about AI for good. So simply put, the goal of AI for Good is to identify practical applications of AI to advance the SDGs. And if you're looking at solutions, for example, that might be deployed in a car or an autonomous car or in a smart city context, how do we know these solutions work equally well on men or women, on persons with different skin colors, on children or the elderly, persons with different disabilities, or indeed in low-resource settings where things like connectivity, electricity, telecommunications are taken for granted? So these are things that we need to work on if we're going to have these solutions that are equitable and benefit everyone, and not just the most developed countries in the world. Thank you.
Joseph, if you may allow me, I want to thank the ITU because also in the region, parallel to the Geneva Motor Show, we held a meeting actually for the region. And the meeting was very effective due to the also presence of the WP, where we were building at that time with Abu Dhabi Mobility, which namely ITC. We were discussing and building at that time the strategy of the autonomous vehicle, and also we're building the manual related to the testing hub, which is a very advanced testing hub. So we were together and we discussed in Qatar from the international perspective how the UAE and Abu Dhabi will put their manual and their strategy upon the need of ITU and the WP.
That's very kind of you. Thank you. And indeed, I believe that was a Future Network Cars Symposium that was in Qatar. And maybe just to say a couple words about our standards. So we have standards for vehicle-to-vehicle communications, vehicle-to-X communications, X being anything that needs to be connected to. We also have standards for over-the-air software updates. I mean, some people have compared cars to an iPhone on wheels these days. So secure over-the-air updates are critical. We also have a standard for emergency calls, e-calls, and then we're also basically allocating all the numbering ranges for telecommunications. So if you had an eSIM in a car that needs to cross borders to provide certain multimedia services and whatnot, those are also built on ITU standards. Thank you.
Thanks, Frederic. Minnsang, you've been waiting very patiently there. My next question is for you. So your company, Autonomous A to Z, is building AV systems with a pretty big focus on public transport. What has led you down this path, and why do you think this is the most important area for AV to be focused in on, especially in the urban context?
Yeah, I think usually the Niu Technology is focused on smart city such as case because their Niu Technology is almost illegal because the legislation speed cannot change the technology change. So for autonomous vehicle, in 2020, the United Nations, the legislator for level 3 autonomous vehicle. As you may know, autonomous vehicle categorized from level 0 to level 5, and the over level 3 autonomous vehicle is defined as autonomous vehicle. So UN regulation is enacted in 2020, but after 5 years, there is no regulation of a level 4 autonomous vehicle because it is unsafe and the legislator cannot convince that its safety or its perfectiveness of autonomous vehicle. So a lot of company focused on public transportation and logistics. It allowed the autonomous vehicle because it is initial step of commercialization of new technology. So Germany is the first company that enacted the nation law for public transportation and logistics. So in Germany, we can sell our level 4 autonomous vehicle to B2B market, not a B2C market, such as a conglomerate, university, or government. And Japan is the second country in the world to make the legislation for level 4 autonomous public transportation. And my country, the South Korea, is third country that enacts the level 4 legislation for public transportation. So I think that why we focused on public transportation, because autonomous shuttle bus is the first step that commercialization autonomous field. So in Abu Dhabi, as you may see, the taxi service of Bayanat is focused on robo minibus, robo taxi, and robo autonomous shuttle tram. So it means that the evidence that this field is autonomous field initial stage. So we focused on autonomous shuttle bus and we make the autonomous shuttle bus. So I think in Korea, we operated 2 years for autonomous shuttle bus. First, a lot of the person very worried about this. Is it safe? Can I ride with my child? But after 2 years, the acceptance is very enhanced. But is it very safe? And all of the route is very stable. So a lot of person, wow, is this autonomous technology? Why this is future? So during this experience, we think that the autonomous shuttle bus is making our society's acceptance. And in Korea, the big problem is age of a bus driver. Bus driver average age is over 60 years. And the world is fast entered a very hyper-age society. Hyper-age society means that the average age of 65 population, 65 over 65 or over, is 20% of total population. So the bus drivers is higher. I think that the autonomous bus is more than safe that in this trend. So it's based on necessity. We can commercialize this autonomous buses. So
that's very interesting. George, what's your take on public transport as the first point of entry for AV, especially here in the UAE? I mean, there's a lot of talk. I mean, we know that there's a lot of AV systems for public transportation already down here in Abu Dhabi, less so up in Dubai. But what is Emirates Mobility? What is your position on that right now? That versus privately owned cars?
Yes, let me talk on a personal level for the public transport sector. I cannot replace the authority, but we are seeing that many technology is going first toward goods transport. So it is tested on a level of a goods transport before moving to moving passengers. Because of the safety element and because of all the other elements related to the safety and security. So Emirates Mobility, we have worked on with Ovitech. Mr. Tavi is here. We have first worked since 2001 on the autonomous vehicle within our areas, training areas. It is really a controlled area. So there is pedestrian, there is car, but all of this system is controlled by a control center. That's why we successfully test in 2001 on a different level and with our partners, Abu Dhabi Mobility, we have tested the autonomous vehicle and put the roadmap towards the implementation. And actually this safe testing allow us to build also the safety officers for Bayanat, Texai. Now you can see them operating. So our first operation was done by our employee, so that as His Excellency Al-Ulama mentioned, it's an ecosystem. You cannot ask people to come and present technology if you don't have regulation.
Makes sense.
If you don't have a testing bed.
Yeah.
That's why we are working also on the testing bed with the government, along with the help of UK Living Lab, Huawei from China, and many other partners to allow the testing bed. And now I can say that the manual for testing autonomous vehicle is available, and it is now on the level of approval. And really it's a very nice experience to start with something that is not available, because you need to do POC, you need to bring many, you need to look into it from different angles. That's why you will see that the manual for testing vehicle, for a testing bed in Abu Dhabi, it's not only a physical testing, but we have embedded emulation there. We have embedded many technology that will help all companies who are coming to Abu Dhabi to invest in Abu Dhabi or to work in Abu Dhabi to have the proper platform from a regulatory point of view, from testing and homologation point of view, and other areas also.
Perfect. This is actually a really good segue into one of my final questions, and I'll direct it to Frederic, which is, some of the work that ITU is doing on a regular basis is, harmonizing regulations and standardizations for autonomous vehicles, smart cities, as well as a half a dozen or more other things. Can you comment on what is being done related to data protection, and then also what is being done to the interoperability of data sharing across different data platforms, so that a city like Abu Dhabi or a city like Dubai or Shenzhen or Beijing or New York doesn't have to go about this all on their own? What is ITU and your team doing to help standardize this at a global level?
Thank you, and that's an excellent question. And actually, I think the data sharing issue might not be the sexiest thing in the world, but it's probably the biggest bottleneck preventing any kind of AI for good type solution from scaling beyond a use case to something that could be deployed in a city, in a country, across regions, or across the world. I can't tell you the number of times I've been in a meeting where we're talking about these high potential use cases for smart mobility, for smart cities, and they're all at the core of it involves data sharing. And then we always ask for, who in the room has data? All the hands go up. I have data. Who's willing to share data? Everyone looks up their shoes and it's dead silence. So really cracking that piece of the code is I think probably the biggest bottleneck that we need to work on. And there are ways to do that. I mean, there are ways of sharing data in a way that's useful, that respect privacy. There's different techniques like homomorphic encryption or different types of data sharing. But right now, they're not scalable or widely adopted. So I think that's something that we really need to work on as a global community. And also, if you're thinking about deploying smart mobility services or smart city solutions, the saying goes that if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. So I think one of our most useful standards is our smart city KPIs. So these have been developed with global experts around the world, but also in partnership with over 15 United Nations agencies. And basically, they've created 91 KPIs for the deployment of solutions in smart cities to ensure that a city is smart, that it's sustainable, and that it's aligned with the SDGs. And actually, UAE and Dubai was the first city to implement and apply our smart city KPIs. But now over 100 cities in the world have done it. So I would recommend checking those out as well.
And where can they check that out? Where can they find that information at? Where online? Online, can they find that information?
Yes, so you could go to itu.int, and then and the initiative is called United for Smart Sustainable Cities.
Okay, perfect. Well, I think we're just about out of time with exactly 23 seconds left as we speak. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us today. There's not really enough time for 4 gentlemen to speak in abundance, but please join me in giving a round of applause to these 4 gentlemen for joining us today. And if you want to talk to them afterwards, I'm sure they'll make time for you as well. Thank you very much, guys.